Welcome to the Outpost. My name is Mike Hert,
I am Adam Alexander.
and this is literally season one, show one, and hopefully we'll pass the audition and they'll keep us. But Adam and I are both with the Disabled American Veterans, Chapter 17, and we've been really blessed that through the Friends of Oshkosh Community Media, we have been given a little bit of a grant, and we're running with our very first show. And so I guess this very first time is really, it's just Adam and I, and it's for you, the viewer, to get to know us a little bit, get to know the Disabled American Veterans a little bit, what it means to us, and so forth. So Adam, what are you looking for with this show? What do you want to see happen? What do you want the viewers to be able to walk away with?
My biggest thing is that everybody, especially every veteran, has a story, and I wanted to give veterans an outlet to tell their stories and share their stories, and what better place than to do that than a show?
Yep.
And
I totally agree with you. The two things, well, first off, I tie in with that as well, because what I like about the veterans community and veterans is when people serve, it's something bigger than themselves. And I always get fascinated because you'll have that piece of history that they're walking in with, or that story, and then when you hear it, you're like, wow. And the other thing is, because of all the branches, you kind of get a little different angle as to how the services work. And, I enjoy that. The other thing that I think we're going to have a good opportunity with is sharing the Disabled American Veterans mission. What exactly we do, what we're about. And hopefully some of the people watching will take a look at the show, and they'll be able to reach out to us. We do have, at the end of the show, you'll see where we have a Facebook account, and you can reach out to Adam and myself or some of the other members if you're needing assistance or just have a simple question. So what I wanted to jump in real quick, and again, this is a first show, so we'll just kind of see how it goes.
work out the kinks as we go.
Yeah. We'll work out the kinks as they go. But I wanted to briefly talk about the history of the organization. We're not a fly-by-night organization. We have been around over 100 years. And the story is important to share. There was a young captain, Army captain, by the name of Robert Marks. And he was what we would call the FEBA in World War I, the forward edge of the battle area. And he was doing a great job. An artillery round came in, and he ended up getting injured. He ended up going through the process of getting evacuated and the services as far as hospital care. And then he got home. And what had occurred back then that was real rough is that America was very excited to go over there, but then what occurred is that they forgot about those injured, those soldiers and sailors when they came home, those Marines. And the image that sticks in my mind, that even thinking today about it is painful, but there were actually veterans on street corners with tin cups and pencils with signs that said, "I'm a disabled veteran, please help me." And what happened with Captain Robert Marks is he eventually, he did very well on the battlefield. He ended up getting the Distinguished Service Cross. And politicians love to bring him along as a speaker to certain events. And so what he would do is he would give a speech or two, and then he would go out into those veterans communities on his visits. And he picked up an energy that was occurring with those post-World War I veterans. And from there, we had our very first convention. I believe it was in Detroit, if I'm right. And it ran from there. And now today we are literally meeting, as of 2021, we'll be meeting in Tampa Bay, Florida. And we continue on with World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, and so forth. So it's a really incredible history. For ourselves, we're a little bit of everything, but you are an Afghanistan veteran, Adam.
Yes,
And I was wondering with our viewers if you could kind of fill us in a little bit. And why did you join the military first?
My typical story that I tell is because I'm kind of a wiseacre, is I say that it was laundry day and I needed the free shirt.
Yeah.
But I was in college at the time, and I kind of felt like I was spinning wheels. And I was majoring in criminal justice, and we have a career fair at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. And there happened to be an Army recruiter that showed up at our career fair, and I got talking to him, and he asked me to give him a meeting and to come down to his office to hear his spiel. So I thought, why not? I'll go hear him out. And didn't really have much intention of joining the Army, but he told me about this amazing job called Civil Affairs, because I was planning on going to law school after I finished my undergraduate, and I ended up signing on the dotted line, and the rest is history. I ended up with the 432nd Civil Affairs Battalion out of Green Bay as a civil affairs specialist. I joined in 2008. We deployed to Afghanistan in 2010. In November, I sustained an injury while in Afghanistan and was medically retired in 2013, about 15 years before I planned on retiring, but I'm still here to tell the story, so all is well.
Okay. Now, where in Afghanistan were you exactly?
I was in a small village called Chimkhani within the Paktia province. Mike and I were both deployed to Afghanistan together, actually. He was my deputy commander, and we were with the provincial reconstruction team out of the Paktia province. Mm-hmm. So our mission was to establish the legitimacy of the newly formed government of the People's Republic of Afghanistan, or the Islamic,
right?
What did they call it? The Islamic government of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, JIROA, yeah. So we were trying to lend them legitimacy by funding and recommending projects such as public works, schools, healthcare. So our mission set was what was called non-kinetic. So we weren't over there to kick doors and...
Yeah, I always look at it as a battlefield commander has carrots and sticks, and we were the carrot.
In theory, yes, but turns out you go over to a war zone and you're wearing an Army uniform. They don't know the difference between civil affairs and
infantry. Yeah.
Right. So we got shot at an awful lot, and unfortunately I ended up getting hit.
Yeah. It we go back a ways, and the day you got injured, we were actually on a conference call that day.
Yeah, oddly enough, that was my last memory.
Yeah.
From Afghanistan. It was the morning of my injury. I was on a conference call because all the civil affairs teams were spread out all over the province and reported back to the head shed where Mike was, and he kind of compiled all of our reports and digested them. And so that morning, I was filling in for my commander, who was either on leave or...
Yeah, he was on leave.
Yeah. So I was on the conference call, and we started, our little camp got attacked. So I said, "I'm sorry, sir, but I got to bug out. We're getting attacked. I've got to go defend our base." And he said...
I said, actually, stay safe and keep your head low.
Yeah, and it turned out that was the last order that I ever disobeyed in the military.
Yeah, I'll never forget when you got injured. I mean, that was pretty frightening for all of us. And they whisked you off pretty quick.
Yeah.
And...
told they gave me a 5% chance to live when I was injured. I always say that luckily I was never very good at math, so that turned out to be enough.
So, but it was
all the
funny.
stars aligned.
Because what ended up happening is that Adam got whisked off. I was still engaged with activities there in Afghanistan, and time and space happened on us. And I guess to the viewer, I'm going to toss out, you ever get an email and it's got this massive distribution list on it? And I'd gotten an email. We were both involved with a veterans treatment court at that time in Outagamie County. And all of a sudden I'm looking, and there on the list was Adam Alexander. And I was like, no. And so I sent you an email, and Adam, is that you?
Sure enough.
And it was like, yeah, it's him. And literally that next day we met for coffee. But I remember one of the very first parameters that I said is what you'll find out in the veterans community is while in the military we may hold certain ranks, but when it comes to the veterans community, we're all equal. So I remember the very first thing I said, I'm Mike, you're Adam now. And that's how it's been. So
Yeah. Mike got me involved with the DAV, and I was able to kind of reestablish that sense of camaraderie with other veterans, and we've been at it ever since.
Yeah, well, that was, what ended up happening is I got medically retired January 2015, and after 9/11, I'm going to age myself a little bit, but 76 to 79, I was active duty, I was enlisted, I was over in West Germany, medical, MOS with the Army, medical specialty, and I got out and I thought, okay, I'm done, that's it, it's over with. And I went to school at UWO, and I discovered I missed it. So it was like, okay, Mike, how are we going to do this? And I ended up going through officer candidate school. They had a program with Wisconsin Military Academy, and I did that, got my commission. For a number of years, I was with the 32nd Brigade. A lot of times, with the red arrow, you're going down the highway, and you'll see these little arrows on the highway signs and so forth. But I was with the Red Arrow for years, and then like yourself, I ended up going civil affairs. And for me, I had been a county board supervisor 2 terms, and it was a natural fit. Because one thing you'll find out with civil affairs guys, like for Adam and myself, is civil affairs in some way, it's like a microcosm of society. You'll find teachers there, law enforcement, elected official, judges, you name it. They will be on civil affairs as officers and enlisted. And I remember with civil affairs, I believe they're the most educated branch in the Army. Because
you have to be up there.
Yeah, because of their professional side. Mm-hmm. So after 9/11 happened, I ended up going to Iraq twice, Afghanistan once, and like shared before, Adam and I were together in Afghanistan. And then I went to the Horn of Africa, specifically Djibouti, and I got medically retired January 2015. And I'll share with you is when we're sharing with the viewer is when you're engaged like that, I mean, the email traffic's flying, the telephone's ringing. It's a fast pace. And, I think it's the same thing you experience. The minute you're medically retired, everything goes quiet.
Right.
And I'll admit, I was kind of lost after that. My wife Julie will tell you, and I was sitting around watching war movies and just, I lost my purpose. Yeah. And then a dear old friend of mine and a father figure, mentor to me, Doc Sunlightner. Mm-hmm. I think you remember Doc.
Sure.
And Doc said, let's go to a DAV meeting. And I went. And like you were saying, all of a sudden the mission came back, the purpose came back, the camaraderie came back. And it was like, yeah, I found a home. And that was it for me. I really liked it. So, and been running with it since. Now currently, we should mention we are with DAV Chapter 17. There are
the chapter of the year this year.
Yeah, you're right. We are the chapter of the year in the state of Wisconsin. So if you join Chapter 17, you're with the best. So. But yeah, you're right. We are chapter of the year, and with one of the things I've always liked with DAV is I like to say you can touch it. Our national headquarters is in Kentucky, our state headquarters, De Pere, mm-hmm. And then we've got, for our viewers, I mean, we have a chapter right here in Winnebago County. We meet the 4th Tuesday of the month at the Marine Corps League, 6:30. And We have a chapter in Outagamie County, Fond du Lac County, Green Bay, from, Chippewa Falls in the western part of the state, Milwaukee, Madison, and so forth. And so we have a total of, I believe it's 41 chapters across the state. And so that's one of the things I like. When you think about services that DAV has to offer, is there any one thing that stands out in your mind in particular?
I would say the transportation program is probably right up at the front of the list. It's the most recognizable service the DAV offers, and probably our biggest in terms of what we offer. In last year, DAV transported 10,306 veterans, a total of 362,016 miles, and volunteers logged 29,262 hours giving those rides. And the DAV, everybody will recognize the DAV in going up and down 41, getting veterans to appointments at, whether it's at the Appleton VA clinic or the hospital in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Well, I can remember before I got involved with the DAV, I would see the van, and it had a D, and it had an A, and it had a V, and I can remember thinking it was like a VA van. And then all of a sudden I got involved with DAV, and it was like the DAV van. And a neat part of our history is that DAV has always had a very good relationship with Ford. Actually, it goes back literally to Henry Ford. And to bring it home to our viewers with the DAV vans is that Monday through Friday at Perkins, there will be a van shows us. And it's just like Adam had said, and I think there's a number that, let's see, for Green Bay. We'll share that with you that you can call, or let's see. Hang tight.
Brown County is Green Bay.
We're looking for the right number here. Actually, you could probably call that one. Check with Patty Davis or check with Dick Marbs. And what happens in a nutshell is that, and this is important, you're a veteran, you're service connected, and you need to get to a medical appointment, but you might not have that transportation. You might not be able to drive anymore. And it's kind of like, well, how am I going to get there? And what's neat is you can call the DAV transportation program, and it's like Adam's saying, you meet at Perkins for those who are in the Oshkosh area, and they'll get you to their appointments. And the drivers are volunteers, and we are always looking for volunteer drivers. So if you're wanting to be a driver, please help us out. We'd appreciate that. And there is no charge to the veteran. So that is huge. The other thing that I always like too that we're involved with, and actually end up getting a lot of questions about that, especially when they find out you're with the DAV, but it's claims benefits.
Yes.
So we'll get that as well. And with the claims benefits, people will say, well, okay, I was injured while I was in service and so forth. How do I start a claim? What's important to share is the majority of chapters, such as we have Chapter 17 here in Winnebago County, we will have what are called chapter service officers. Now, for Winnebago County, it's myself and Dale McNamee. And we've been trained every year. We have to go through training and literally get certified. We can kick off some of the initial paperwork, but our main job is to connect you with, we actually have national service officers that are located in Milwaukee with DAV, and that is all they do is claims benefits. And so that is a huge part of what we do, is getting that veteran connected. And anything hitting you about claims?
I think it's important to distinguish when we say injured. It doesn't necessarily mean injured in combat like I was. It could also be just over the course of your service, if you were maybe an artilleryman shooting cannons and now you can't hear worth a squat. And that is a service-connected disability.
Yep.
Or if you drank bad water and Camp Lejeune and something of that nature. That's also service connected. So anything that happened to you during your service can be a service connected disability and get you a rating. And anybody that is rated is eligible to join us at the DAV.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. One thing proud for us to talk a little bit about, if you can pull up the slide with legislative, there is a nice picture there. Hey, two handsome guys there. But one of the things that we do is we are a 503c4, and DAV works the legislative side of things. So that photo right there is just a real good example of what we do at the chapter level.
A little background, we were testifying on behalf of a bill in front of the Wisconsin State Senate.
Yep. And what we were testifying with this is currently in the state of Wisconsin, if you are a veteran that's at 100%, you don't have to pay property taxes. You'll actually pay them, but you get reimbursed. And what we are doing, and actually a lot of states have this benefit already, where it's prorated at 90, 80, or 70%. And so we were testifying on behalf of that getting prorated. And an important thing that always has motivated me too is that you and I have benefits.
Yes.
And I don't know who they are, but some guys and gals 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago spoke on our behalf. And we have what we have today. And again, it's based on, the sacrifice that occurred. And so for me, it's about paying it forward, because there is a next generation depending on us. So
yeah, as civil affairs, our job was to come into a war zone or a battlefield and over the course of a deployment, leave it better than we found it. And I think we're carrying on with that mission with the DAV by leaving the veterans community better than we found it.
Yep.
The long and short of it, that's our goal and our aim anyways.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Now, I think there's a picture with the town hall meeting up there, if you can pop that. There we go. This is a real good example of grassroots. This is Congressman Grothman in the background, but Chapter 17 members went to a town hall meeting and we shared what the legislative priorities are for the veterans community. And that's a real good example of what we do even at the state level. And to share with you, I've been involved with that as well, but we will go to the state capitol, we will meet with our elected officials in the assembly and the Senate, but we also go to Washington, D.C., and we work with our elected officials there. So it's something I've always been real proud of. So the homeless.
Yes.
How we do have a slide on that? Anything you want to add about the homeless? Or?
It's just that homelessness within the veterans community has always been a very troubling problem, and it's a problem that we're sensitive to here within the DAV, and we're trying to do something about by giving these backpacks to homeless veterans that contain supplies to make their life a little bit more comfortable.
One of the things that hit me with that moment that you're seeing up there, I'm involved with my church, and we go to, and again, I like bringing this home for people, is the day-by-day warming shelter. And we were helping serve food, and I had a hat on in the serving line, and it was a DAV hat. And a gentleman said, I'm a veteran. And sure enough, he pulled out a DD-214, had a Purple Heart, the whole shebang. And for me, that was like an eye-opener that, whoa, there are veterans here. So our leadership team met with the executive director and staff and just said, how many homeless veterans are there? And I was surprised by the number of veterans that they had. And in that picture there, what happened is we actually coordinated with our national headquarters and our auxiliary. And there in the background is my daughter and my wife. So DAV and auxiliary is literally a family affair in our home. And the auxiliary bought some items, the chapter bought some items, and then we were able to supply backpacks for those veterans. So that's a good example too. We should talk about the auxiliary as well,
Yeah,
because
it's an
that's
important
an important component. There
Absolutely.
is a picture of my wife and I that we can pop up real quick. And what the auxiliary is it's like a companion to the chapters, and this is something that's really important with our auxiliary, and I think it's something I'm real proud of, is the fact that we have males in our auxiliary. I think it was 4 years ago, we had the first male national commander. And it's not like 1967 where the guys go in one room and then the women go in another room.
Yeah.
We recognize women warriors in our ranks, and we also recognize that there'll be other family members there as well. And I'm thinking like right there, great picture of Sandy. And Sandy, for 2 years, was actually the chair of the Women's Veterans Committee at the state level. And so we're very much involved with that. So we got an auxiliary. Many of the chapters have an auxiliary, and their job is to support, work with the chapters, complement them, and really it's all about the veterans and so forth. So, and oh, this is a great picture. This is Rosie. She is the chaplain for the auxiliary here in Winnebago County, and she has been with the DAV auxiliary, I'm not kidding you, 63 years. Amazing. And so she ended up getting a plaque signed by National and so forth, and that's my wife, Julie. Any remarks on the auxiliary that hit you, Adam? Or?
That they are very, like you said, complementary to our mission within the DAV, and you're married to the state commander, so I think you're kind of obligated to plug them at least one more time.
Yes, yes, it's true. I am sleeping with the state commander for the auxiliary. But yeah, no, Julie, my wife, is also the state commander. But yeah, it's really the auxiliary is a true part. It's part of that heartbeat. And then secondly, when we look at the role of women veterans, and with now civil affairs, what have we had quite a few women warriors.
I'd say at least 30%.
Yeah.
Between 30 and 50% were female, and I also have a very large spot in my heart for women veterans.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I
actually share that if you would.
I am now an Army spouse. My wife is still currently serving in the Army Reserve as a physician's assistant. And
Can you just share that story? It was kind of really neat. I mean, how you two met.
Yeah, my company first sergeant, who was also on my civil affairs team in Chimkani in Afghanistan. It was myself, First Sergeant Ryan Hassey, and Captain at the time Giovanni Rodriguez were a civil affairs team in Chimkani. And Ryan's wife had a very good friend that was single at the time, and at our going away ceremony, they introduced me to this woman who I, shortly after getting out of rehab, ended up marrying. And now I am an Army spouse, and she is the toughest commanding officer I've ever had.
Well, but you know, but that's what when I think about DAV, I think about family as well, and that's what it is. And I need to share as we start to wrap up. And this is part of that I hope we can relay to you, the viewer. But the veterans community DAV, for me, is a second family. It really is.
Absolutely.
And we're all very close. And again, you know, we're going to try to share with you the stories of veterans and our mission. And we do have our DAV Facebook site,
Yes.
which you can connect with. But on behalf of the Outpost,
Thank you for joining us.
yeah, thanks for joining us.